All right, I'm supposed to be live. Let me just make sure everything's working correctly. It's been a while since I've done this. I still haven't learned how to do Discord correctly or whatever this is. Streamlabs, I'm sorry. Let me just see if this is working. All right, I'm supposed to be live. Yes, we are. Okay. So I want to figure out how to do this on Streamlabs or get some kind of software or something like that to do like the backgrounds and something really cool stuff like that I see. But I just don't have the time to do that. But I haven't done one of these in a while. And the whole idea is to just get them up so they're on my channel so that I can listen to them or somebody else can listen to them because, you know, it's difficult to get people here to listen live because I don't have a schedule and I'm just busy all the time. But today's topic was spurred by a video that I did, and I find it incredibly interesting and really disingenuous. And this is the problem I have with YouTube and gaming in general. Maybe it's because I'm just old, but it seems like I only get these really negative, vile comments after I put opinions, and these are opinions, about Xbox in videos. Now I have videos on my channel that are full of opinions about PlayStation, some of them negative, and I've never seen the people that I've seen like just today, just yesterday on a video about Xbox. I've never seen those people in the comment section of those videos complaining about my negativity, quote unquote negativity towards PlayStation, but I see them when I raise opinions about Xbox, which is really strange, don't you think? I get these almost Dead Sea Scrolls typed into the message box. They're incredibly long paragraphs about Xbox and why I'm wrong. And I think to myself, what psychologically has to happen for someone to type that long in a comment section about an opinion based on a video game console? So I did a video about the idea that certain devs may leave Xbox behind when it comes to third-party games. And this was based on the fact that I see a lot of people not purchasing video games on Xbox. They're simply waiting because of Game Pass. And then I look at reports like Square Enix thinking about being exclusive to PlayStation. I look at Resident Evil Village selling 84% of its total copies on PlayStation platforms. And I think to myself, well, maybe there's a correlation between those two things. Maybe some developers are saying, well, if the audience isn't buying anything, what recourse do we have? What options do we have? And I sort of extrapolate, and then I have an opinion. And then I get comments like, I'm an idiot, or some other things that I just won't repeat, and I have to remove them. And I actually got a comment from somebody that listed Xbox YouTubers and how they would laugh at me and my channel. And I thought to myself, that's kind of like, let's say you're a Ford enthusiast. You love Fords, Mustangs, whatever. And you go to conventions with other Ford enthusiasts and you talk about Ford all day long and how you love it. Then all of a sudden this guy comes along from across the street and he was at the Chevy convention and he's like, wow, that's a really cool Mustang. I like those things, but here's a problem I have. Oh, you're an idiot. These guys would laugh at you. Well, if your goal is to be spoon-fed information that's always squeaky clean and positive, then what information are you really getting? See, that's the issue I have with YouTube and gaming and the audience that supports it. It's either you regurgitate the same news stories over and over and over again, and not just regurgitate those stories, but you have to make sure that those stories are either positive for one audience or negative for the other. Or you get these people that are like, well, you know, there was 2 positive PlayStation videos and now I count two positive Xbox videos, and there's 3 negative PlayStation videos and 2 negative Xbox videos, and that's 1 less, so you're a positive Xbox channel. It doesn't make any sense to me. I really hate the hypocrisy that's centered around the audience that supports YouTube. I don't understand it. I don't understand the idea of wanting to be spoon-fed information that you want to hear. If all you want to hear is what you want to hear, then what's the point of even going to YouTube? What's the point of even watching anybody's opinions? What's the point of even thinking outside the box? Is it that much of a stretch to say that based on sales patterns, some developers may not put the effort in to getting their games to one particular platform if that platform doesn't support their content? It's not. It's called an opinion. And then I get these vile, disgusting creatures in my comment section saying things like, yeah, well, bro, you're an idiot. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. So that's what spurred this live stream. Yeah, I just don't get it. I was never somebody that wanted to hear what I wanted to hear. I'm interested in, I have my opinions. Like, I know what I like and what I dislike, but I'm not triggered over somebody saying something like, well, the PlayStation first party games are all walking simulators and they're one and dones. I mean, why would I go into a comment section and type a paragraph underneath in the message section of someone's video about why they're wrong? Think about that. What does that say about me? They basically won if I'm doing that. That's the kind of stuff I got yesterday in my video about Xbox. Paragraphs. I mean, it took me minutes to read some of these paragraphs that I got about Xbox, and this YouTuber who's, by the way, completely Xbox centric is telling them something completely different. Listen, I get it. It's a game. You can be super successful on YouTube, especially when it's centered around video games. If you say stuff like Xbox is the best and here's why, or you center your channel around PlayStation or Xbox, that seems to be the fastest track to success. If you're looking to get a lot of subscribers, if you're looking to monetize, you need all those subscribers. And if you're looking to make some money, that's the key to success. I don't see YouTube as a job. I don't even think YouTube is a real job, but that's fine if somebody else is doing it. But in terms of success, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested in talking about things that I'm not interested in at the moment. So I really do believe that there's a problem when it comes to buying video games and the Xbox audience. Now, I have an Xbox. I buy games on Xbox. I just bought Chorus a while ago. I've been playing it. It's a great game. I'm going to do a video about it. It's not in Game Pass. Did anybody else buy the game? Resident Evil Village. That's a good game. It's out. 84% bought it on PlayStation platforms. Why? Why didn't anybody buy it on Xbox? Now, those are physical, but digital doesn't make up for a huge gulf in physical purchases. These are just things that I think about. It's okay to make videos about them. It's okay to ask questions. You have to be able to move outside of your box. Now, I understand they're just idiots in the world, and you're going to get them. There's nothing you can do about them. Maybe just block and move on. But it made me think. I don't get it. I don't understand why there's this need to hear things that you want to hear. Like, I need to hear that PlayStation is bad, or I need to hear that Xbox is bad. I need to hear it all the time. And I'm going to go to this YouTuber and subscribe because they tell me exactly what I want to hear. Maybe I'm overanalyzing this. Maybe I should just call these people idiots and move on. But I think there's something to it. There has to be something to it. I don't understand it. Like, what is it about people and their inability to hear anything that they don't want to hear, or entertain any opinion that may be valid? Think about that. If it's this trivial with video games, my God, the whole world's fucked. Because, I mean, if you can't hear an opinion based on, evidence, then, and it's about gaming, man, the rest of us in the real world are screwed. That's what I wanted to talk about first. This idea that in order to be successful, you have to tell people what they want to hear. So what is it? Do I need to have 2 positive PlayStation videos and then 2 positive Xbox videos, and the audience is going to count to make sure that I have the perfect number, the perfect ratio of Xbox to PlayStation positivity, and then I can be okay? Or if I have, 3 negative Xbox videos and only 1 negative PlayStation video, well, man, I deserve to get it in the comment section. Write me a book. The Dead Sea Scrolls in my comment section. This one commenter, I'm not going to name who these people are, but my God, there must be a psychological problem with some people. Can you imagine looking at a video about a video game or a video game system online, an opinion, and then typing out literal paragraphs to comment. What is it? Like there has to be something wrong with people. There has to be. Anyway, I don't know. So that's my question. Like what is it the audience wants? Do you want completely PlayStation-centric channels that are positive all the time and positive PlayStation news and here's why PlayStation is great? Or do you want Xbox positivity, blah, 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 blah? Because one commenter listed 3 or 4 names of YouTubers in my comment section. And look, I don't have a problem with these people. I don't know any of them. But you go to their channels, it's completely Xbox shilling all day long. Wouldn't you get bored of that? Isn't that boring? Why would you want to go somewhere? I mean, if I knew exactly what I was going to hear when I go somewhere, why would I go there? I know exactly what I'm going to hear. Okay, a game came out and it's exclusive for Xbox. Let me go to this Xbox channel. I wonder what they're going to say about the game. I need to hear that it's a perfect 10. So where would I go to hear that? Why would you want to do that to yourself? I don't understand it. I don't understand the triggering when it comes to opinions about video games. You guys are just really weak-minded people, man. Some of you people are just so weak. I don't get it. Anyway, so that's my rant when it comes to YouTube and the audience. And I mean, it's almost like you can't have an audience that really wants to think or really wants to hear opinions or really wants to hear something that, like for instance, about the sales thing and the lack of buying games and the idea that everybody's going to just rent their games and Game Pass. If it's not in Game Pass, I'm not buying a game. If you buy an Xbox, don't buy any games. Just subscribe to Game Pass and sit there and wait. Like, why can't you talk about that in a rational way? Don't you think it could be a problem for some developers? Isn't it possible? Isn't it at least possible that if you have a platform where no one is buying video games except renting a subscription service, that there might be a problem? And by the way, if Sony does the same thing, that could be a problem too. They're just not doing it right now. That's all my video was about. And yeah, I had a flashy thumbnail because I think it was funny. It's cool. But I mean, the content in the video isn't insane, isn't negative. It's raising questions. I literally couldn't believe when I looked at the comment section. I shit you not, it was paragraphs from some people. Paragraphs. Like I couldn't imagine sitting at work or, on a bus and typing out that many characters in a comment section about the Xbox. I just cannot believe it that there are people out there like that. And those people are probably the people that support these big channels. And I hate to say it, but psychologically, you're the people that help other people make money because you're always going to be there listening to positive news and sending super chats. That's another thing I don't get. I can't imagine paying somebody to ask a question, but hey, maybe I'll be there one day. If I get more subscribers, I'll do it too. I'll be a hypocrite like everybody else. I'm not above that shit. But I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I have no idea how to say your name. Not e-metagame. Oh, not a metagame? Okay, whatever. Not a metagame 62, or I think the best reviewer is yourself. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is the thing. Like, you understand that you can watch somebody's video and think and listen and maybe agree or disagree. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change what you enjoy. You're not going to not play a game that you were excited for because some random schmo on YouTube decided to make a video that says something negative about it. By the way, maybe you'll play that game and love it, and that negative thing will still be there and be valid. I've played plenty of games I was excited for. Let me think of a game that really got a horror. Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3 was completely review bombed. And when I say review bombed, I don't mean that it was a good game and people just shit on it. It deserved its scores. It did not evolve the franchise at all. It was a copy and paste of a game that was good years ago. But I love the game. I absolutely love the game. You can go online, look at my completion rate for that game. I spent so much time in that game. I am missing one orb in that world. One orb. I cannot find one orb. There's just one frigging orb that I cannot find in Crackdown 3, and I've been looking for it forever. But I love the game. Now, look, I'm not upset that the game got horrible review scores. I agree with the review scores. Didn't evolve the franchise at all. Nothing new. The open world felt dead. The character models were horrible. Graphically, it wasn't that great. But there's something about that game that I like. I'm not upset that people made videos talking about its faults, talking about the fact that the franchise is probably dead because Microsoft didn't evolve it. I'm not upset by those videos. I didn't go into the comments section and type books about why they're idiots. I just played it and I enjoyed it. And I still love the game. I don't know why I love it. It's insane. I like a lot of games that people don't like. Anyway, thanks for the comment. It's nice to have at least one person comment in here. But that's my take on all this. So the video that I made, just so you know, was titled, let me find it. Devs leaving Xbox behind, ? Okay? I guess people didn't see that. Xbox is, in quotes, non-viable. In quotes. That's not me saying it. That's a quote that someone said, a developer. That's the title of my video. And I talk about the fact that maybe it's the fact that there's a large number of people buying particular third-party games on one platform versus another. I have a comment from somebody it's probably a bot. I don't know. Looks like a Russian name. Who knows? I can't read it. Probably people are buying one particular third-party game on one platform versus another. And over time, if that continued over time for that developer, maybe it just wouldn't make sense for them anymore financially to spend the money to get that game on a particular platform, whether or not it's PlayStation or Xbox. In this case, it was Xbox. Seems like a perfectly reasonable thought process to make a video about. And then I get paragraphs about me and my mom, stuff like that. Curiously, though, not in Metagame 62 says, been playing a lot of Stadia. It's so easy to pick up and play, but if you listen to others talking trash about it, you would never play it. Perfect example, Stadia. I'm not into streaming games at all. So I'm not interested in PlayStation, whatever they do in the future with their new service. I'm not interested in xCloud. I don't want to stream video games. I think it's the worst way to play video games. That's my opinion. You shouldn't care that I think that. But Stadia is a perfect example. There is a ton of negative Stadia news everywhere. No one likes the thing. But I've got someone in my comment section that loves playing it. Go play it. The fact that people have an opinion about it shouldn't sway you from enjoying it. Now, whether or not it stays a viable platform, I don't know. But that shouldn't matter to you either. Enjoy it until it's gone. And then you can go enjoy something else. But the idea that you can't have a discussion about it, like I'm sure you understand the limitations of Stadia, even while you're enjoying it. I personally would never, ever enjoy a streaming service. I'm not even interested in trying a streaming service. That's on me. I just don't want to stream video games. I have this giant TV. They talk about technology moving forward, teraflops, resolution, frame rate, graphics. I want graphics on my giant television screen to be incredible, and I already know that it's not going to be the best that it could be if I stream, period. And I have gigabyte internet speed. It's just not going to be as good as popping Horizon Forbidden West into my PS5. Not popping it in, I have the digital version, but downloading it to my PlayStation 5 and playing it on my giant 4K television. It's not going to match that experience for me. If somebody else wants to just hit play, fine, go do it. But I'm not in the comment section of those videos typing books about why those people are idiots. Curiously, again, this video that I did and these commenters that I got, they were nowhere to be seen when I made videos about PlayStation and some negative opinions that I had about it. They weren't there. I wonder why they weren't there. I wonder why they didn't show up and type books about why I was wrong about being negative about PlayStation. See what I'm saying? So I wanted to talk about that, maybe analyze it a bit. It's odd. It is odd to me that in order to be successful at something, you've got to essentially become a shill. You really have to. Like, I have 365 subscribers. I had 360, I don't even know what I have, 356 or 360, whatever I have one less than I had yesterday, because it's probably people who are upset that I had a problem with Xbox. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So in order to be successful, you tell me what I have to do. What do I have to do? What do you want? Tell me what you want. Do you want me to talk about Xbox in a positive way 24/7? An Xbox specific channel? Because it's not going to happen. There are times I'm going to be positive about it. Right now, I'm not very positive about it. There's nothing to be positive about, in my opinion, right now. That doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy it. I have one. I purchased one. By the way, I probably play it more than most people who talk about it, who have channels dedicated to it. That's what I don't understand. And eventually, maybe it'll be something that gets me excited again. Maybe Starfield will be great. Maybe Perfect Dark will be great. Not a Metagame 62. Life is too short to worry about other people's opinions. Yes, it really is. And it's really, really, really short to be spending your time typing books. Listen, I wish I still had these comments because I would read them. I got rid of these people quickly. Oh, you should have saw them. It was insane. It was insanity. There was one that was literally, I mean, I had to scroll and keep scrolling and keep scrolling. It just kept going and going. It was literally like a Dead Sea Scroll, reading a Dead Sea Scroll. That's how long it took. I think people are still trying to decipher it. So in about 100 years, I'm going to figure out what that person was trying to say to me. And I can't get over, like, how psychologically damaged do you have to be to do that when it comes to hearing something that isn't even negative, it's an opinion. And again, that person was nowhere to be found in my PlayStation videos where I talk about negative things that I see happening there. Nowhere to be found. I don't get it. I think the audience, when it comes to gaming on YouTube, is the same thing that happened to politics. People have their channels that they want to go to because they're going to be told what they want to hear. And that's it. Nobody wants to hear anything else. And unfortunately, that's where gaming is. So channels like mine are probably going to be small forever. And that's fine. Because again, I'm not doing this for a job. It's fun. It's cathartic. It's interesting. And I'm bored sometimes. So why not do this? But I just don't get it. I never understood it. And I don't think I'm going to understand it. And after that video yesterday and waking up to comments that are just like insane people, I really thought, well, yeah, that's what YouTube gaming is. Maybe this is just normal. Maybe people are just that crazy. Invader Gaming, good morning. What's going on? Yeah, I got a cup of coffee sitting next to me too. Not a Game 62. Did you ever buy a Series X? Did you even buy a Series X? Is that what you're asking me? I couldn't get a Series X, so I got a Series S. Now, there's an interesting story about why I got a Series S and not waited to get a Series X, because one, I still can't find a Series X anywhere, and I'm probably going to get a Series X when I can find one. But I felt a bit burned after buying the Xbox One X. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you why. You know, it was power. It was a monster who ate monsters for breakfast or something like that. It was $500. It was the world's most powerful console, and I bought it. Microsoft, I thought, was going to do things great with their first party with that console, and they didn't. The only game that I can remember really taking advantage of that system, and the only game I remember actually seeing a difference, and I'm not talking about resolution or framing because I don't care about that stuff. I care about graphics, was Red Dead Redemption 2. That was it. And then I saw the Series X, the Series X from the 1X, and the marketing was kind of the same. You know, it's a monster who eats monsters for breakfast, blah, 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 blah. So I thought, you know what? I think I'm not going to buy into this again. And when they introduced the Series S, I thought, okay, I'll jump there. And I'll be honest with you, I really love the Series S. I really do. I have it hooked up to a giant 4K television. I don't really see this huge difference right now, even with their first party. Like Halo Infinite looks amazing on the Series S. I don't know how much different it would look if I had a Series X hooked up to my television, but I think it wouldn't be that different. Let me get to these comments. Invader Gaming, I'm sorry. When you're honest, you will always get the brunt of things because some people can't handle it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why people can't handle... Like, if you can't handle something about a video game system, how the hell are you living life? Invader Gaming. When you produce safe material, there's not as much pushback. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's it. Maybe instead of saying that these Xbox channels are super positive, they're just safe. Is that what it is? I don't know. I'm not going to name who the people were that the commenter put in my comment section, but some of them, one of them I knew, and a few of them I didn't, but I went to look, and it's literally thousands of videos about Xbox and how great it is. I don't get it. Like, you have no critique whatsoever? You've never thought outside the box when it came to anything in life? Now, I get it. These guys are older who have these channels. They know what they're doing, and they want to make money at it. I get it. I could probably do the same thing. I just would find it boring to not be able to say exactly what I'm thinking or have an opinion that might be counterproductive to me making money or to me gaining more subscribers or to me, getting more likes or views. It doesn't make sense to me to do that. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I could be a fucking moron, and I should be doing that to be successful and to get a lot of subscribers. I should. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible. I don't know. I gotta take a sip of coffee. But I think that I'm going to continue to just do what I'm doing. Maybe I could be a little bit more, I don't know, maybe less. I don't even think my titles are clickbaity. My thumbnails definitely are. I mean, that video, I've got a picture. Let me tell you this. This is great. So that video that talks about devs may leave Xbox has a picture of the Xbox Series X on the left, Tifa Lockhart in the middle, a PlayStation 5 on the right, and the title is Bye Bye Xbox. So, I could get it. I get it. Some people were like, what? But if you listen to the video and just think about what I'm saying in it, it's possible. Some of these things are quite possible. They could happen. I don't know. I mean, do you think that having a product where the audience just completely and totally never buys anything, they just sit in perpetuity waiting for things to come into a subscription service is good? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong? I don't know. I think you have to buy some things. To me, it feels like it's not about games. It's about the total number of games in the service. Like, people are saying, Game Pass is great because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And me, I'm just saying, well, okay, I understand that it's a subscription service. I have it. But I'm more interested in good games, great games. I'm not interested in just saying it's great because it has X, Y, Z, or it has 57 games in it. And by the way, next month, there'll be 60 games in there. I'm more interested in game to game, the experience to experience that I have. That's what's going to keep me engaged in a platform, not just the fact that there's a subscription service with a lot of games in it, because there are a lot of games in Game Pass that I'll never play. I'm not interested in them. And some other people may be. that's why I make a video about it and I tell you that this is what I think. It's an opinion. And it's possible, it's very possible that there are a lot more people out there that share that same opinion. And it's very possible that if there are more people out there that share that same opinion, then it won't be as successful as people think. And it's also possible that I'm completely wrong and it's going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. Right? I don't know. Right now, I don't think so. I mean, Forza Horizon 5 is a perfect example. I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about that game anymore. I don't know. I played it, I downloaded it, and for some reason, it just lost me. Maybe when they have some updates, I'll go back to it, but I don't know. Not a metagame 62. Am I saying that right? No time. Oh, no time to game. Jesus Christ, man. I'll tell you, I need glasses. No time to game 62. I suppose it's the same with film. No cinema, just wait for it to go to a stream. Exactly. There's a reason why Spider-Man isn't in a streaming service right now. There's a reason why you have to go to the movie theater, or the cinema, as you say, to see Spider-Man. Right? Because the people that made the film don't want it to be in a streaming service right now. They want that large nut of money. The theaters want to draw the crowds to them. And then eventually, it'll be in a streaming service. There's a reason for that. And you have to explore those reasons. The same reason that an 84% purchase pattern on a PlayStation for a particular game, a particular third-party game, means something. And you should want to explore what that means. Because it may mean something bad. I don't want Resident Evil to not be on Xbox, but there are a lot of games that don't show up on Xbox that are on PlayStation, especially JRPGs. And what's the reason for that? Is Sony just writing a check to everyone? Of course not. There just isn't that level of support, and it's okay to say that. Doesn't mean I hate Xbox. But that's a fact. So if there isn't a level of support for big games like Final Fantasy or Resident Evil in the future, and they could just put them on PC and recoup that 30% because they're getting 70% return on PlayStation platforms, why wouldn't they do that? And why wouldn't it be okay to make a video talking about that? It's possible that I'm wrong, but it's definitely not possible that going to YouTube channels dedicated to Xbox is going to give you good news or accurate representation of what's going on. So that's my take on it. I don't know. Who knows? It's odd. Let me go around the web real quick. So there's a story called Xbox Players Are Fed Up with Forced Crossplay Against PC Gamers. This is from The Verge, which, it's The Verge. So it says Xbox players are growing increasingly frustrated at being forced to play against PC gamers. While crossplay was initially a popular request from Xbox and PC players that Microsoft has backed strongly for years, those playing first-person shooters on Xbox are struggling to opt out of the experience to avoid PC cheaters. Games like Call of Duty Warzone and Halo Infinite force Xbox players to match against PC gamers in a variety of playlists. You don't have to look very far to see why people are angry about it. Quote, now that cheating in Halo is confirmed on PC, can we have the option to opt out of cross-play? Asked one Reddit post in November. Just weeks after the multiplayer version of Halo Infinite launched, forced crossplay is a scam by Microsoft. That's a quote. That's not me. This is in the article, by the way. Reads another post in Microsoft's Halo Waypoint forum. Forced crossplay is a mistake, says another poster. It says Halo Infinite and Call of Duty Warzone are both suffering from an influx of cheating, largely because they're free-to-play titles, so it's easy for hackers to create a new account following a ban. While there's an option to disable crossplay in Warzone, if you try to load into a playlist on Xbox, it will ask you to re-enable it. Whereas on PlayStation, you can simply dismiss the prompt and continue to the playlist with crossplay still disabled. So again, here's another point of contention. If users don't want crossplay, if they're having a horrible experience with it, and PlayStation is allowing you to disable it, don't you think it's possible that in time more players will gravitate towards that platform for that game? Of course it is. Why would crossplay be forced? Because Microsoft wants the biggest player pool. Now, here's my opinion. They don't really care about your experience on the console when you're playing that game. Because if they did, they would allow you to play with anybody you wanted to. Play with who you want, where you want, on the devices you want. But you can't do that when it comes to crossplay. Because they want the largest pool, right? That's not some anti-Xbox. That's just somebody who has a brain thinking about it. If you're telling me that I could play where I want, with who I want, on the devices I want, pay attention to the with who I want part, then why can't I play with who I want when it comes to Call of Duty and only play with console gamers? Simple question, right? Not an anti-Xbox question. A question that anybody with a brain would ask. What would be the reason that I can't do that? Because it's advantageous to Microsoft to not allow me to do that. Then why tell me I can play with who I want? Well, it's a marketing slogan. That's exactly what it is. Do you think these other channels, these huge successful YouTube channels that this one commenter put in my comment section, do you think they're talking about that in the way that I am? Do you think they're highlighting the fact that it's not a good feature to leave out when it comes to Xbox and crossplay? Of course they're not. And why aren't they? Because those people would unsubscribe. That's what I don't get. Perfect example, this crossplay thing that I found. Does it mean you throw away your Xbox and don't play Call of Duty? No. But people are having a problem. It says, quote, Warzone players on Xbox have been complaining about this forced crossplay for more than a year, with various forum posts and YouTube videos highlighting how irritating it is to be forced into crossplay. Most of the issues are related to PC cheaters, who have plagued Warzone for years before Activision finally added a new anti-cheat system in October with a kernel-level driver to catch PC cheaters. Now that cheaters are already ruining Halo Infinite multiplayer games, the call to remove forced crossplay is certainly growing louder. Halo Infinite players on Xbox are matched against PC gamers in most playlists, and even in ranked modes, you have to play solo or as a duo to avoid forced crossplay. If you want to squad up as a team of 3 or 4, you'll be forced to play against PC players in ranked Halo Infinite modes. Microsoft's decision to force crossplay in its own Halo Infinite title runs against previous commitments from the company's head of Xbox. Quote, I'll never force somebody in our games who's playing with a controller or a mouse and keyboard to play against somebody with a different control scheme, said Xbox chief Phil Spencer in an interview with GameSpot in 2016. He said, quote, mouse and keyboard rotation speed is faster than controller. We know that. You'll lose. So this isn't me, for the people out there who are sensitive to this stuff. This is Phil Spencer saying that. Phil Spencer saying, quote, I'll never force somebody in our games who's playing with a controller or a mouse and keyboard to play against somebody with a different control scheme. Mouse and keyboard rotation speed is faster than controller. We know that. You'll lose. That's what he said in 2016. What changed? Why is it forced now? Because it doesn't look good unless you have a large player base playing your game. It looks like the game's failing. That's why they do it, for engagement. And if you have a large player base, or if you put yourself in a position to get the largest player base possible, then you have more of a chance of making money when you start to monetize things. That's all it is. It's not about playing with who you want on the devices you want, when you want. Because if it was, he would literally be doing what he said he would do in 2016. This is the problem I have. If you're a hardcore YouTube channel, super successful, why doesn't this bother you? And again, I know we're talking about Xbox here. There's plenty of shit that PlayStation does too, right? We'll get to that. But if you're a hardcore Xbox channel, you go to these hardcore Xbox channel, you pay money to ask them questions. You support their Patreons. Ask them. He said in 2016, I'll never force somebody in our games who's playing with a controller or a mouse and keyboard to play against somebody with a different controller scheme. Mouse and keyboard rotation speed is faster than controller. We know that you'll lose. Why are they doing it now? What changed? Why is he disagreeing with himself? Why is the 2022 Phil Spencer different from the 2016 Phil Spencer? Philosophically, it's intellectually dishonest to say that in 2016 and do the complete opposite in 2021. Why is it not okay to ask those questions? Because you don't want to lose subscribers. And if you're somebody who doesn't want to hear it, then you've got a psychological problem when it comes to something as trivial as video games. See what I'm saying? Then the article goes on to talk about Battlefield 2042 with forced crossplay for Xbox, but PlayStation, again, allows you to disable it. And this is what I'm talking about here. Again, now, if PlayStation continues to allow console gamers to play with console gamers, and it becomes an issue, I'm not saying it's going to become an issue, but if it keeps growing, then what do you think logically would happen if you think it through? People will probably skew towards that version of the game on PlayStation, driving more sales to that platform. And over time, what can happen? This is not some foreign science or some alien technology that I'm using to figure this stuff out. It makes sense to think this way. They say, we reached out to both Microsoft and Activision to comment on the forced crossplay situation, and neither company was willing to issue a statement in time for publication. 343 Industries, the developer behind Halo Infinite, made it clear it's trying to address the cheating issue in the game. 343 is hoping to address cheating and other things in a patch in mid-February. 343 won't be magically fixing cheating issues from its game with a single patch, but here's hoping there's an option to avoid most of them next month. This is from, by the way, The Verge. It was put up an hour ago. It's called Xbox Players Are Fed Up with Forced Crossplay Against PC Gamers. So you can go read that if you want. So that's my take on that. Next up, it says Xbox Series XS sales are still outpacing all previous Xbox consoles. See, there you go. Let's pivot to positivity. Over 12 million units reportedly shipped. Xbox boss Phil Spencer says that the Xbox Series S and X Duo is performing as well as it ever has and continues to outpace the sale of all previous Xbox consoles. So this was published today, so it's not some old article. It's actual factual information. Let's see what it says. It says, quote, the global semiconductor shortage has affected the games industry in a big way, with supply constraints affecting the sale of all consoles on the market, though perhaps not as much as one might think. Speaking recently with the New York Times, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said that the supply chain is, quote, as big as it's ever been, and that it's the demand for consoles that's far exceeding it. Got a comment from somebody called Kazri Omiad, and it says VOR, whatever, it's some bot. According to Spencer, the Xbox Series X and S are still outpacing the sale of all previous Xbox consoles, as has been the case since the duo of new consoles launched, and the two have sold more than any of their predecessors at this point in their respective lives. Quote, supply is actually as big as it's ever been. I don't know. I mean, does it feel like supply is as big as it's ever been? I can't. There's Xbox Series X is nowhere. It's literally nowhere. So I don't know. Spencer said, supply is actually as big as it's ever been. Quote, it's the demand. It's that demand is exceeding the supply for all of us. At this point, we've sold more of this generation of Xboxes, which is Xbox Series X and S, than we had any previous version of Xboxes. So that's a good thing. Microsoft hasn't provided sales figures for its consoles for a few years at this point, so officially there's no word on how much Xbox Series X and S has sold collectively. Now here's where I get a little bit, questioning. If you're not going to provide me any data, then how do I know you're telling me the truth? Kind of like that in 2016, you said one thing. 2022, you're doing another. But that's me, you know. However, as per Nico Partners senior analyst Daniel Ahmad, they're estimated to have shipped over 12 million units worldwide, up from an estimated 6.7 million shipments as of the end of September 2021. They note that Microsoft's strategy of launching 2 separate SKUs of their new generation of Xbox has paid off and has helped offset supply chain issues. That's what I agree with. The Xbox Series S is a godsend for Microsoft. They did not know that this chip shortage was going to happen, but they're the only one with a console that is seemingly easier to produce and get chips for, the Xbox Series S, which makes it available. And if it's available, people are going to purchase it. In comparison, the PS5 has shipped 13.4 million units worldwide as of the end of September 2021. So you're looking at 12 million to 13.4 million. Pretty close. Pretty close. So that's good news. And it is important that you sell. I mean, people say sales don't matter. They matter. It absolutely matters. So you're looking at about a 1.5 million divide between PlayStations and Xboxes so far. And that's not that big. So they're incredibly close in terms of sales. This year, I'd be interested to see what happens because there's a lot of software coming out this year for PlayStation, hopefully. Horizon Forbidden West is definitely coming out. No word on God of War Ragnarok or Gran Turismo 7. They're supposed to come out this year. They could be delayed. I don't know. Forspoken is a 2-year exclusive. That's probably going to come out. But again, having all that software is great, but unless PlayStations are on shelves and able to be purchased, doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't. All right, let's go back. Look at Xbox boss not interested in virtue shaming? What the fuck? Okay, he's not interested in virtue shaming Activision. All right, I'm not going to touch that one because I'm just not interested in it. So essentially, you know, we talked about the problem with gaming audiences and YouTube and the support that some people seem to get and others don't, and the psychological damage that some people have when it comes to reading things that they don't agree with or they can't even fathom as being true. And how if you're positive about one platform, you'll get success, and if you're negative about another, you won't. How screwed up that all is. Then we talked about Xbox and crossplay and how you cannot disable it on Xbox, but you can on PlayStation. That may lead to something in the future. That may lead to more players on PlayStation. I can't even speak. Let me get a cup of coffee real quick. Hold on. Let me drink. It got cold. That may lead to more players on PlayStation for a particular game than Xbox, if Xbox doesn't allow you to disable crossplay. We talked about why they're not allowing you to disable it. We talked about the 2016 comments from Phil Spencer about knowing that you'd lose if you play against PC players, about never forcing you to do that. And then in 2022, he's seemingly a different person. Why do you think big channels dedicated to Xbox aren't talking about this? Or why do you think they talk about it in sort of a cursory manner, really quickly, and then move on, right? You can't have like 15 pro Xbox videos and then that one video where like for 2 minutes you talk about something sort of like really quickly and move on and say you're being objective. But that's what these people do. So I don't know. I have no idea what kind of content people like. I just know what I like. Maybe I could curtail it a bit or try and figure out. I don't know. It's crazy. So we're coming up on 50 minutes. Jesus says, they're about to leave the console space. The writing is on the wall. I don't know. I mean, they made 2 brand new consoles, the Series X and the Series S. Why would they leave? Unless you mean next generation, maybe 5 to 7 years from now. That's very possible. They just have a streaming stick. Right? Put it in your television. It's also very possible that eventually, in order for Game Pass to become super successful, they're going to have to be on all platforms, like Netflix is, like HBO Max is. And that means PlayStation and Nintendo, or at the very least PlayStation. And if Game Pass is on PlayStation, and Microsoft wants a lot of subscribers, they're not going to want to split that base between PlayStation and Xbox hardware. So what do? They go full third party. They go full software company, which is what they already are. And their software and their service is Game Pass. It makes sense. Certainly not anti-Xbox, but it's possible. I mean, if they're at 12 million right now and PlayStation is at 13.4, I don't think they're going to get out of the space if they continue to sell. If we end this generation with a 50-50 split, I don't think they'll get out. But again, it comes down to if PlayStation can get PlayStation 5s on shelves and people can buy them this year and they can build a lead that's meaningful, a 1 to 1.5 million lead is not meaningful. They're essentially tied. So as big of a demand as there is for PlayStation 5 and all the news you're hearing about PlayStation 5 and all the games you're hearing about PlayStation 5, Xbox is right there with them in terms of total units sold. Jesus says they made console because they still can't put the service on other platforms. It's possible. I don't know. I don't know if that's why they made the console. I guess maybe the only reason PlayStation won't have Game Pass is because there's an Xbox console. Maybe if there wasn't an Xbox console, PlayStation would say sure. Just like they did to EA Access after a while. It's very possible. But who knows? All I know is right now, they're essentially tied in total units sold. So I don't think PlayStation's getting out of the hardware business with 13.4 million sold right now. Projected for lifetime of PlayStation 5 sales would probably be really high. And right now, Xbox is only 1 million behind them. 1.5 million behind them. Jesus says, as soon as they find a way to put Game Pass on Nintendo and PlayStation, they're out. Look at what happened as soon as Game Pass went to PC. Now they're catering to that audience. Yeah, I mean, Microsoft's pretty much always catered to the PC audience, though. Jesus says, there are even games that drop first on PC Game Pass than on Xbox. That's something that I'll give you. I don't get that one. Well, I do get it, but here's where, again, it's a contradiction. If Microsoft understands that the audience on PC is different, and they have to understand that if they're putting games there first as opposed to the console, they have to understand that that audience is different. Their expectations are different. The types of games that they want to play are different. If they understand that, and they must because they are putting games there first as opposed to Xbox, then why don't they understand that console gamers are different and allow them to opt out of crossplay? You see what I mean? This is how I think. I bounce things back and forth. None of these companies mean what they say or do what they say. That's what you have to remember. They know that PC gamers are different. That's why they put exclusives in Game Pass on PC that aren't in Game Pass on console. And if they know there's a difference there, why don't they know that there's a difference when it comes to multiplayer and the expectations that console gamers have versus PC players have? They do know it. They just don't like it. It doesn't fit when it comes to the total number of users. When it comes to Twitch stream numbers, it doesn't work for them. So they don't do it. That's not negative Xbox. That's just common sense. That's thinking. Jesus, when the chip shortage ends, we'll really start seeing the difference in sales, and they're only close if you put together sales of Series X and S. Well, but PlayStation has a PlayStation 5 digital and PlayStation 5 physical, so they're putting those sales together too. And I mean, either way you look at it, 12 million to 13.4 million, PlayStation, Xbox. They're not really different. Like PlayStation doesn't care if you buy a digital or a physical PlayStation 5. They just want you to buy a PlayStation 5. Xbox doesn't care if you buy a Series X or a Series S. They just want you to buy an Xbox. 12 million, 13.4 million. That's just a fact. They're only $1 million to $1.5 million apart. Now, all the other stuff I just talked about, I agree with you there. Like the exclusive games on PC Game Pass and the exclusive games on console Game Pass. I don't know. Have there ever been exclusive games on consoles that haven't gone to PC for a time? I'd be interested to know if that's a fact, because it seems like they understand the difference between the audience when it comes to games. So they must understand the difference when it comes to gaming habits, like multiplayer. They just don't want to turn off that crossplay. Buck Roger, early morning podcaster. I don't have any time to do this stuff, so I just do it when I can, which is, not really great when it comes to building up an audience or stuff like that. In a year, I'll have time. In a year, I'll have time to actually, make a schedule and say, okay, Monday nights at 9 o'clock, I'm going to do this dog shit podcast. And maybe people will tune in, but thanks for coming in, saying hello. What do you think? What do you think about the crossplay situation? You tell me. They have to know. They have to know that there's a difference between console gamers and PC gamers and the expectations, because they know the difference when it comes to games and putting them in Game Pass. There are exclusive games in Game Pass PC that don't make it to Game Pass console. Why? Think about it. Well, they probably know that there's an expectation. There's a difference between those gamers. If they know that difference, why don't they know the difference between crossplay? If Phil Spencer in 2016 says they'll never do it, and the Phil Spencer of 2022 is doing it, what happened? Is it bad to talk about this stuff? Do I need to balance it out for some people with negative PlayStation news? I don't know. Let me know what you think. There's 3 people here, which is incredible to me, thinking at 9:42 on a Tuesday morning, there'd be 3 people tuned into this. Let's look up PlayStation news and see what's going on, to help people who are maybe a little bit triggered when it comes to Buck Rogers says, I say if you can turn crossplay off, then it's cool. Yeah, exactly. Why not be able to turn it on and off? What would be the reason that Microsoft wouldn't allow you to turn it off, but PlayStation would? I think, obviously, Microsoft has a vested interest in PC, a greater interest than Sony does. They also have a vested interest in having a large as possible player pool when it comes to their games. Everyone does, not just Microsoft. If you want to monetize microtransactions, all that stuff, you need an audience. The more people you have, the more chance you have to make money. Turn off crossplay, you don't have a lot of people, or the most people that you can have. Jesus says, they tried to paint Sony as the bad guy with crossplay. Now the mess is evident, and they force their gamers to have it, cause otherwise their games would be dead. Well, let me say, I'm not a multiplayer gamer, so I don't know anything about total number of gamers making a game dead or alive. I have no idea, but the concept behind what they're doing, I can understand. Buck Rogers says it is 9:42 a.m. East Coast, so not really early morning then. Yeah, well, I don't know. 9 o'clock is kind of early, but I mean, when you're off, it's early. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they should allow crossplay to be turned off. I suck at multiplayer anyway, but I'd rather play with people who are on the same platform I am. It just kind of feels better to me than somebody who can, like I read an article where there are these settings in PC where, like, if you're playing Halo, for instance, or Call of Duty, you can actually, turn down your settings in your graphics card so that you don't have the same foliage in the map that other people have. So if they're hiding in a bush, you can essentially make that bush disappear, which gives you that unfair advantage in a multiplayer game. That's insane to me. Like, why would you allow that to occur between an audience? Like on the console, you can't shut that shit off, but on the PC you can. It's not fun. It's not conducive to fun. It's conducive to numbers, but it's not conducive to fun. Buck Rogers says the real problem with crossplay is that console gamers are paying to play online. Yeah, that's a big one. You're paying to play online. I don't know. I mean, look, again, I'm not trying to make this like an anti-Xbox thing, but they sort of spearheaded that. Sony followed too, right? You're paying to play online with Sony, but they're allowing you to play with people that you want to play with, whereas Microsoft isn't. See, all these things sort of build up. And I'm thinking about the impact that they're going to have over time. Just like if 84% of people are buying one particular game on one particular platform over time, what impact would that have on the developer? The same way where if a lot of people are complaining about crossplay over time, what is that going to have? What effect is that going to have when it comes to that particular game on that particular platform? Jesus says, exactly, at Buck Rogers. Another great thing we have to thank Microsoft for. So, Jesus, I'm sensing you're an Xbox fan. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff Sony did that's completely shady as well. I just think, at the end of the day, it's interesting. No matter what you do, no matter how shady it is, no matter how bad it is, you have to have content. If you have content, people forgive a lot. They really will. They'll forgive a lot if you have really good content, which I'm not saying is right. I don't think it's right to do that. I don't think it's right to just forgive shady business practices or things that just obviously aren't good because of good content. But it does go a long way to helping you get away with stuff, having great content. Now, in terms of what's great content, that's some people say that's subjective. I don't think so. But Jesus says, the fact of the matter is, at Worry Word Gaming, that Xbox gamers, the industry, quote, journalists, and YouTubers hold Microsoft and Xbox to a different standard than Sony and PlayStation. That's interesting. What do you mean by that? You think that they're more hard on Xbox than they are on PlayStation? Or Buck Rogers says, all three do shady stuff. We just need to stand up to it and not support that stuff. Well, yeah. I mean, the shady stuff in terms of crossplay, it's not there on PlayStation. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, they all do some shady stuff. Again, it's about content. You can get away with a lot if you're giving a lot. And that's the balance that you have to strike. Not that I'm saying it's okay, but it makes it easier. The fact of the matter is, Xbox gamers, the industry. Yeah, I read that message from Jesus. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you saying that the entire industry and YouTubers and media are harder on Microsoft and Xbox? Jesus says, when it comes to games, their services or business practices, it's all praise to Microsoft, even when they never innovate in anything they do. But when PlayStation is out there pushing the medium forward, I don't know. I mean, I don't really see tons of praise when it comes to Xbox and Microsoft. There's definitely more of it this generation so far. I will agree with you there. There seems to be like there's, and again, this comes down to just how disingenuous a lot of YouTubers and media are. There were a ton of people that were anti-Xbox just last generation, and now their entire channels are dedicated to it, and everything's positive. And because you can get a good clip of people subscribe to you. One person I think of is Destin Legary. I mean, this guy was completely hard on Xbox last generation. And all of a sudden, he starts up his own channel, and it's Xbox 24/7, and he's successful. Not knocking him for it. I think it's a little disingenuous, but if it works, it works. But I don't think overall there's universal praise for Xbox, but I could be wrong. Jesus says they get all the scrutiny and criticism. We see it in how PlayStation games are reviewed or how they try to criticize Sony's venture into VR. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe you're looking at, again, YouTubers who are Xbox centric criticizing PlayStation and VR. Maybe like one really obscure quote unquote journalist with an article that says PSVR feels like a distraction. Is that what you're talking about? But overall, I don't think the industry as a whole sees PlayStation and VR as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. You have to differentiate. You have to push forward. Jesus says, I used to respect what they did in gaming, Xbox. They have an undeniable legacy with the 360, Halo, and Gears mainly, but they gave up with the Xbox One gen, and they were forgiven. Well, let me unpack what you just said. So, you respect what they did in gaming with the Xbox, and they have an undeniable legacy with the 360, Halo, and Gears mainly. They have a legacy of 2 games that they didn't create. Now, I want to be careful. I'm not being anti-Xbox. Okay? The original Xbox was a fantastic system. Completely pushed gaming forward when you think about all the innovation in the box. But when it came to software and first party, they didn't create anything. They haven't really created much. They got lucky with Halo, purchased Bungie. And with Gears, they made great deals with Epic to get that exclusive. Plus, Sony's arrogance, going from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3, gave them the sweet spot when it came to getting those deals with third parties. Because PlayStation, I mean, do you remember we want you to get a second job to afford a PlayStation 3? I mean, insanity. Jesus says they released a console with no games, all in caps, for a whole year, and people still put up with it. Imagine if Sony had released the PS5 in the same state. Sega died for less. Yeah, I mean, Sega's a whole different conversation. But, you know, yeah, they did have a console with no games. I get that. But so did PlayStation 4. And I understand what you're saying. I get it. Buck Roger, the first Xbox is my favorite of the Xbox consoles. You know, I love the first Xbox. I really like the 360. When I think about, and again, these are all third-party, quote-unquote exclusives, but I really identified, like, you know, Gears, and Gears is first party now, but Gears of War, Fable, even Mass Effect, or even BioShock, like those games just identified with Xbox. The same way like third-party games identify with PlayStation still today, like Final Fantasy and things like that. BioShock, Gears, Mass Effect, that was the 360, and I loved it. DDP 540 says there is definitely an industry-wide push into services like Game Pass that is pretty annoying. The service gets more attention than the actual games in it. Yeah, that's my big issue. You can't play Game Pass. You have to play games. I think there are a lot of people who like to say there are 150 games in Game Pass, so that means it's good. I don't get that mentality. Buck Rogers, Sega is still my GOAT. Yeah, I mean, the Master System and the Genesis were just, I mean, I don't think you can get better consoles than that. The Dreamcast, I know a lot of people like to fan out over. The Dreamcast had its issues. There was an over-reliance on arcade ports. That was the biggest thing. By the time they figured out that people wanted these bigger games, and Shenmue came along, or oh God, what was the game David Bowie did the music for? Omicron, the Nomad Soul. By the time those games came along, it was over for Sega. Plus a lot of horrible business decisions too. That's a whole other video though. Hey Zeus, if you like it and enjoy it, that's fine. What I don't understand is the narrative that fake gamers and the media has to make them look better than they are and give them a pass with their mistakes. Well, probably it comes down to just money. You have a successful YouTube channel. A lot of people come in there. You can't really talk negatively. You can't even raise points. I mean, I have less than 400 subscribers, and I made a video, just an opinion about third-party game sales on PlayStation versus Xbox, and look at the pushback I got. I don't even have 400 subscribers, and I got pushback. That was completely insane. So imagine if you have 100,000 subscribers or 1 million, and that money's rolling in. You have to keep the money train rolling. I understand it. I understand the mentality. Buck Rogers, WarioWare, Master System, and Genesis. Yeah, the Master System. I'm looking at it right now. I have my Master System, Right next to that, I have my Genesis. Right next to that, I have my Dreamcast. And then I have the original PS1. Right next to that, I have my NES, and then the original Xbox, and then my N64, all in my media room. Yeah, I mean, the Master System, I remember everyone going crazy for the NES. And literally, I think it was like maybe like a month before Christmas, Sega introduced the Master System for that year to go up against Nintendo. And the commercial was for Hang On and Safari Hunt, the pack-in games for the Master System. And I was like, I have to have that. I have to have that. That's state of the art. Look at those graphics. And then the Genesis, forget about it. Walking through I don't know if it was a Kmart. It was one of those stores that aren't around anymore, with my mother. And I looked to the left, and they had a kiosk set up on a TV, which was state of the art back then, you know. And they were showing Altered Beast. And then I was like, oh my God, that's the future. Best graphics I've ever seen in my life. Have to have a Genesis. So, great times. Jesus says, I went back to check what comments that left you, but you had already deleted them. Yeah, I got rid of those. Some of them were just really nasty. Some of them were just so long and, to be honest, scary that there are people out there that are that, I guess, psychotic when it comes to things like this. Like literally 400 words in a comment section. Just basically, I'm an idiot. And, you know, I should... Terrible things. But Buck Rogers, KB Toy Stores. My goodness. KB. That's another thing that killed Sega. KB refused to carry. What was the system that they stealth launched? Sega. Was it the Saturn or was it the... I remember they had their show and they said, and you can buy it right now. And people were like shocked. And Sega had essentially cut out certain retailers by doing that. And KB was so pissed off that they refused to carry any Sega systems, and they only carried PlayStations, which really helped Sony. But yeah, man, I miss toy stores in general. I would just go to toy stores, even now, if I could. I love just walking around and actually being able to physically touch those products. This online shopping shit, man, is just, it removed that connection to the toys. And I think consoles are toys, essentially, right? And they are. Going to the store and seeing the system sitting there got you excited. I miss that. The Saturn, yes. The Saturn, they stealth launched that. And KB Toy Stores was so pissed off, man. They were like, fuck Sega, we're not carrying anything. PlayStation just came in there and said, here you go. Here you go. Some horrible decisions from Sega. Just horrible decisions. It's amazing to me that just looking back on that, as an adult, like as a kid, I didn't know. I just kept buying Sega systems, but I didn't know what was going on. But now it's like, man. But I do know. I mean, I'm old. When the Dreamcast was announced, I was old enough to know. I remember sitting there thinking to myself, talking to friends, this is not going to do well. A lot of people were like super excited. I remember thinking, yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I remember specifically having that thought. And I remember the excitement around the PlayStation 2. So there's something to being said with being able to check your fanaticism at the door and be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Be a little bit more informed when it comes to things, even things you love. Buck Rogers says, KB and Toys R Us were my go-tos even once I was older and working. We used to have a Toys R Us near me, and it was really big. And I would literally go there. My wife and I would literally go there and just walk around and look at stuff. I can't imagine. Like, there are people now who never had that experience. Everything's online. And I just can't imagine not having that. It's horrible to not be able to do that now. To go there and look at toys. I remember back in the day, if you remember the robot craze in the 80s, the Omnibot and Verbot and all those, you know, Tandy robots that you can buy and program in your house. We would go to Toys R Us and I would look at them behind the glass. The Omnibot was about 4 feet tall. I remember looking at that and being like, oh my God, look at that. That's the future. That's the future. It's an android. And you could go there and you can see them and you can touch them. There's something about that experience that's, you just can't get that back. It's a shame. It really is a shame. The online retailers have just destroyed the mom and pop shops and even the big chains. It's just, you think about how many jobs are lost too. All the people working at Toys R Us and KB Toy Store. It's just, or GameStop or GameSpot. That's still around. It used to be Funko Land. I remember going there and talking to the people. I remember just hanging out in a Funko Land, talking about, the PlayStation 1 coming out or the PlayStation 2 coming out with people. There wasn't this, online and YouTube. It was like you actually had to talk face to face to people and, look at the magazine and talk about the games. Man, just good times. It's a shame. It really is. And this is what we have now, YouTube and comment sections and super chats and Patreons. Buck Roger, have you seen the sad-looking toy aisle in Walmart and Target? And even, not even worth your time. I haven't. Listen, I make it a point that if I'm in Walmart, my life is over. But I haven't been to Target or Walmart or any store in general in a long time. But I could imagine the state of the toy aisle. Just the action figure aisle, I could imagine. I mean, I don't even know if they're even making action figures anymore. They might be too offensive, muscular men and feminine-looking females. That's a whole other topic. Buck Roger, we had EB Games. Yeah, EB Games, I had that here too. EB Games, you have to go to a mall to see an EB Games. The retail stores around were like Toys R Us, and even KB was in the malls. But EB Games was awesome. All these stores, man. EB Games, I completely forgot about that. Maybe they'll make a comeback one day. I don't know. I don't think so. But, man, there's something about being able to go. Like the Disney stores still exist. People go to the Disney stores and you can buy and you can touch all those products. Why do those stores still exist? But gaming stores have just died out. Or even arcades. I would love for arcades to still be around. I spent hours in arcades, man, when I was a kid. Buck Rogers, don't go and check Target or Walmart for games. It's super sad to see. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Again, even with the rise of digital, I remember, when digital games were a thing and you could actually buy a game digitally. That was something that was so foreign to me, but I was like, oh my God, I could just press a button and the game is here. So I get it. I get the convenience. I understand it. But there's something to be said about just being able to go and see a product. Talk to somebody about it. Get excited about it. I remember standing there staring at the Sega Master System. Somebody else was standing there staring at it. Then we would start talking about it. And like hours would go by just standing there in an aisle. It's insane. And that's all gone. Now it's transferred to YouTube, right? Talking about stuff like I'm doing now. But it's just not the same. I don't know. Strange, isn't it? I can't believe it's been an hour and 18 minutes I've been talking. Jesus. This, I think, is the longest podcast I've done. 5 years. I appreciate people stopping by. I don't know if the comments are coming up on the screen as I talk. I'm seeing them here. I have no idea how to set this stuff up. I really don't. I really should try and figure it out. Try and get some sort of background stuff in here. Maybe share a screen when I'm reading that article. I got to figure it all out. I just don't have the time. My time is so limited right now. So those are the topics I talked about. The crossplay, the insanity when it comes to Xbox and PlayStation, YouTube, and the mental gymnastics people go through to try and just hear what they want to hear. Buck Rogers says, malls are dead. Most have removed the shops and added more food places. Now you see 10 to 20 phone stores and shoe stores in the mall, with every restaurant being every other space. Yeah, I've noticed that. My wife said that. She went to the mall and was like, I don't like any of the stores anymore. I had no idea what she meant. But, yeah, there just aren't the same stores in the malls anymore. It's all just like these weird stores and then restaurants. And then I have noticed that they're putting like these fun/bowling places in malls now where you can bowl. There's a bowl, an arcade, a small arcade. There's a bar. So they put all those things in there, I guess, to get you to go there. But Yeah, I haven't been to a mall in years. Years. 10 to 20 phone stores. Jesus. Pretty soon you'll see 21 Tesla phones coming out with solar panels on the phone so you can charge it outside. I don't know. That's my take. Right now, I'm excited about PlayStation because of Horizon Forbidden West. I was playing Ghost of Tsushima again last night. I beat the game. I beat Iki Island. But I mean, my God, how does that game look that good? I mean, that's maybe I'm a graphics whore. But I love stuff like that. I love when they push graphics on consoles because I don't see graphics like that on PC being pushed. And I know PC gamers are like, well, it's the best platform. I get it. But I feel like when it comes to consoles, they really push things when it comes to graphics and not resolution or frame rate, graphics. I just love that game. I can't get over how great that game looks. Even the original Horizon. And I just, I look for that in platforms that I purchase. I've always done that, though, with the Sega Master System. It was the original Phantasy Star, or even something like Hang On, the motorcycle game from Yu Suzuki. That looked phenomenal on the Master System at the time. I bought the Genesis because it was a step up. Graphics looked better. Not resolution, not frame rate, graphics. And then I moved to the other Sega systems, and the PlayStation, and the Nintendo, and the Xbox. And so that's the kind of stuff I look for when it comes to games and gaming. Stuff that excites me graphically. And I think Halo is a good looking game graphically. I think it's the best game that Microsoft first party has produced in a while. Forza Horizon, you can say, but I mean, that's another Forza game. It does look great, but I'm more interested in what they're going to do with Fable. Hopefully it's a proper RPG single player game. Hopefully. All right, so Buck Rogers, Phantasy Star on the Master System is still a looker. Yeah, it's a great game. It's a great game. I remember, was it Phantasy Star? I don't remember the one where you went into the dungeon and it switched to like first person, and it looked like you were moving through the dungeon and making a left or making a right. I think that was Phantasy Star. Maybe it was Phantasy Star 2. I remember seeing that and thinking, look at those graphics. You're actually walking in first person through a dungeon. The walls are moving as you walk. Yeah, it's insane to think how easily satisfied we were, and now how critical we are of things that, still look better than anything we've ever had in the past. But expectations change. All right, so that's going to be it. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I'm amazed that I have, at one point I had 7 people in here, which is incredible. I know it sounds ridiculous to be jumping up and down to have 7 people, but Phantasy Star 1. Yeah, that was the game. I remember walking through that dungeon thinking, look at this, man. This is the power of Sega. Sega! Great times. So I'm amazed that 7 people stopped by here for a podcast with a channel with less than 400 subscribers. I think that's, I'm happy about that. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Hopefully I can remove some of the people who comment harshly or who are just really, really, really PlayStation or Xbox centric to the point where they don't want to hear any opinion. Or maybe I should just leave them up, right? What do you think? Should I just leave them there and just ignore them, or just get rid of them? Does it hurt other people coming in if they see that stuff? I don't know. Who knows? It's weird. Bunch of weirdos. Bunch of mental midgets, as Zaire would say. Back in the day when we used to do the old podcast. All right. Thanks for stopping by. I don't know when I'm going to do another one of these again. I'll just get a bunch of topics together and then try and do them when I can. Maybe in a week. Maybe in a week I could be able to do one. Thanks to Buck Roger for stopping by. Let me shout out everybody who stopped by. Let me figure out how I can. All right. Jesus, DDP540, Buck Roger, Thank you guys for stopping by and commenting. I appreciate it. Nice to have some engagement. No Time to Game 62 was here. Invader Gaming, go check out his channel. He stopped by. And I'll see you all in the next one, whenever that is. Appreciate it. Check out my channel. I have a Twitch channel as well where I stream